Hello. Again, sorry, a little couple of minutes late. We get chatting pre-show, and then we get into stuff, and then we think, oh yeah, we're here. Why are we here? Yes, we're here to do a show. It's episode 172 of the Pro Synth Network live show. It is Friday, the 21st of July. It's just gone 7 p.m. here in the UK. Welcome, one and all. Thank you for joining us on this. What is here in the UK certainly is a quite lovely sunny summer's day, not too hot either, so that's nice. We've not got a huge amount of news for you this week, so we'll be doing a lot of this, and we'd like you to join in, so please do. So if you want to comment on anything during the show, then of course do so in the chat, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, because we can receive all three of those. And if you are trying to make a point about a topic we're discussing, or you want to ask a question, just put a big capital Q in the front of it. It just helps us pick it out. Of course, if you're watching on catch up, unfortunately you can't do that because time travel and that. But you can comment on the show anyway down below in the comment section. We always love to read our viewers' comments. That's always good stuff to catch up on during the week, to hear your thoughts on that. But of course, do remember to like, comment, subscribe and share, as they say. Do all of that stuff. That would be great if you haven't done already. If you have, fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. If you want to contribute to the show to keep us on air, to cover all those bills, then of course there is a PayPal donation link. It's there on the screen, but it's also down below in the description. Or you can use Super Chat or Super Stickers on YouTube if you're watching in that way. If you're watching on Catch Up, you can use the thanks button. I always hate going through you don't have to pay. Honestly, you don't. Nobody has to pay. But if you do, we love it, and it helps us pay the bills, and which we'd probably pay anyway, to be honest. But it does help us do nicer things and have nicer quality videos and stuff. We're also across all the social media channels, as you're probably well aware: Twitter, Instagram, of course, Facebook, and here on YouTube as well. All the same handle at ProSynth Network. And as I said before, if you have anything to comment on throughout the show, stick a big capital Q on it if you want to get our attention, and we'll throw it into the bucket. Not that bucket, the bucket that we want to use for questions. So we do pay attention. It does flag these things up. Right, that's all of that rubbish out of the way. If you're missing, I did notice a few comments in the chat before we came on air. If you're missing our lovely esteemed leader, the man who was responsible for all of this, it was his fault, it was his idea, Ben Simpson, will hopefully be back with us next Friday. We're keeping our fingers crossed. We begged and pleaded because his stand-ins have been flipping awful. So we're hoping that he'll be back with us next week. If not, we'll carry on until he's ready. But fingers crossed. Benny Boy will be back next week. But he's a busy lad. He's a busy lad. So if you're watching, Ben, all right, mate, how you doing? Miss you, and hope to see you soon. Talking of stand-ins, we'll come to him last because, we'll talk to my regular co-conspirator here on the Prosynth Network, who's also wearing one of these lovely T-shirts. It's Mr. Ken Spong, with a slightly elevated angle, as the actress said to the bishop.
Why, greetings.
Indeed.
Yes.
So we now actually get to see some of the stuff that you're playing with, because we don't normally. You only see the end cheeks.
Yes.
Now we see the AT and the Hydra and the Rollies.
Some of the bits.
Yeah, you're doing a bit of a Tori Amos there, or a Keith Emerson, or who's the other one? Jeff Downs does that.
Yeah, exactly. You see, no socks.
Ew. Don't. I've got a thing about feet, and it's not a good thing.
Oh, have you?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. I have lovely feet, actually.
Yeah, I think is the real reason that you've adopted that angle to cover up the fact that you've lost all the tiles at the top section of your wall.
Yeah, you can't see it. No, it was.
No.
It's because every time I fire up the camera, it tends to get trapped on the back of the monitor.
Okay.
So I don't think it will stay here. But yeah, it's just a temporary thing.
Okay. I can see your end cheeks as a synth nerd chat up line.
Yeah.
Oh, darling,
Absolutely.
I can see your end cheeks.
I'm going to spank your end cheeks.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Good week.
Yes, wonderful. Yeah. Contemplating buying something by Antelope this weekend, just to piss Jim off. No. Yes, it's been a busy week.
Good.
Very busy indeed. So,
Well, that's always good. Pays the bills.
14, 15 keyboards done this week.
Wow.
Yeah, busy.
Nice. Good stuff.
Yeah, so nearly got through it all now.
Good. Excellent stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is the 80 switched on, by the way?
Of course.
Give us a blast. Come on. That'll do. I'll keep me going. Good to see you, mate, as always.
And on the Osmos. So,
very nice.
Oh, yeah, by
yeah.
the way, yes, it's true. My secret is out. I don't know anything about MPE. However, I know how to bloody play it. All right, mate.
There you go. And on that note, let's go and see Ben's considerable replacement. He's been with us for a number of weeks. We've loved having him here, and I'm sure we'll have him on again. It's Mr. Andrew Longhurst. Is he a bit sad? Oh, that bottom lip.
Penguin
Don't
of
worry,
Death
we
died.
do love you. It's only a joke. Oh no, the Penguin of Death is. Oh, has he got his what's the black thing he's got on?
It's his bag.
Oh, it's his bag. I thought it looked like.
Yeah, but it's on his head.
I don't know what it looked like. Yeah, it was weird. There you go. He's
There you
strangely
go.
attractive because of his enigmatic smile. He can kill you in one of 412 different ways. Indeed. How are
Yeah.
you, sir?
I'm all right, but right, like that Ben, right, he's a slag. He really is. He's a slag. And he was snogging Linda behind the bike sheds. And she told me anyway that it wasn't him, that she'd done it. And it was all that and everything. And they didn't do nothing.
There you go.
That's what happened.
Have you had a busy week, sir? Have you been on the wine already?
No, the wine's chilling. The wine's chilling. It's been it has been a busy week. We're sort of moving closer, as you all know, who have been following for a while, you poor buggers. We are trying to buy the building we're in to make it
Yes.
into a community-based thing. We've taken some significant steps this week, and we're
Good.
keep on pushing it forward. We've got a logo. We're going to be launching some Facebooky things, and getting people to jump on board. So yeah, that's been really good this week. Been playing around with these little buggers a bit, and it's been fun. It's been a good week.
Good. Glad to hear it. There we go.
Can I
Let's
do
go.
anything about my hair though? Do you think? I mean,
You can cut it.
I'll have it. I need a bit more.
Bit of Grecian 2000 wouldn't go
on the
amiss.
back here.
Other hair products are available.
other hair products are available. Something for the weekend, sir?
Something with the weekends on.
Synth Network, perhaps.
Indeed. Big hello to everyone that's in the chat as well. Let's not forget those. The numbers are increasing as we plough through this waffle that we call the Pro Synth Network live show. No guests this week. We had brilliant guests last week. We had the guys from Cherry Audio, didn't we? And that was last week, wasn't it? I honestly, it must have been because I deleted their stuff out of the thing. But I've been on the phone to some people, and I hope to be able to announce some rather exciting special guests coming up in the next few weeks and beyond. So we
Helen
are working
Mirren.
behind the scenes. I'd love to get Helen Mirren on. I'm not entirely sure that her synth collection is commensurate with the...
She can have one of mine.
Okay, yeah, I'll give her one. Synthesizer. But you don't know though, because there are some strange people. Well, I say strange people; they're probably quite normal people, but you wouldn't have them down as synthesizer fans, But Daniel Craig, apparently, he's a bit of a modular guy.
Is he?
Yeah,
He's got
flipping
55.
James- Yeah, I mean, come on. We need to get Daniel Craig on. Maybe we can go through David Arnold and get him on, but get Craig on as well.
I don't
'cause
think they work that closely together.
Well, they did Casino Royale, didn't they? I watched a video. It was a video that David had posted up of him talking about Casino Royale, and he was with Chris Cornell. And the first thing I thought about was, Jesus, what was David's hairdresser thinking? And then the next comment in the thing was something along the same sort of line. So even David appreciated that his hair was a little bit odd. In one was Casino Royale. I can't remember that. It's some while ago, wasn't it?
1960 something.
Yeah, Daniel Craig.
Oh, the
Cisco
Daniel Craig
55.
one.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to suggest David Niven, but
David
that
Niven would be
doesn't
lovely,
count.
but he pong a bit.
Car
at the moment.
crash. Come on, it wasn't a film.
That's true. It was a bit, a bit
Oh
odd.
God, how many directors?
Let's not go down the path of Bond, because I could talk about Bond forever.
Oh, okay.
Who else? Who are other peculiar? Well, not peculiar, but people that you wouldn't
Kent?
think. Yeah, true.
Kent's quite peculiar,
But-
really.
Well,
No,
standard.
there are some people that you just wouldn't expect to be synthesizer fans and users, and they are. I mean, who would have thought Steve Davis? Really, I mean, yeah. And Ben's just said that in the chat. Talking to Ben, Ben and Andy are three moderators. Are moderators three? The Three Musketeers.
Yay!
Who I'm sure love that moniker. They are doing a fine job in the chat, keeping you all in line. Not that you really need keeping in line, but they do look after you lot, and they post all the links up as we go through them. They're not going to have a big job today because there's not much to talk about. However, and do you know what the great thing is?
And no swearing.
Do you know what the great thing is? They post these links up. I don't give them the links,
Yeah, I know.
and I really ought to.
It's almost like they know what they're doing,
It is. It's like
which is
they're
unusual for
using
this
their
show,
initiative.
isn't it? Come on. Yeah,
Fantastic. I mean,
I can't even spell it.
And yet, they actually pay to be on the show. Fiverr. Thank you again, Mr. Andrew Brooks. Every
Thank you,
week
Mr. Brooks.
he pays to come to work. Love people like that. And of course, thank you to Steve as well for his $4.99. Much appreciated. So thank you for those. We've already had our
Lady
first
Aptitude,
question.
by the way, has just done a really, really good joke. By the way,
Oh, I was wondering, you've done a really good. Rod Hull was a big emu user. I think that. What do you think that deserves? Drum roll or
that's
trumpet?
a ba-da-dum. No, that's a ba-da-dum.
That's a. There we go.
That was worth that.
There
That was
we go.
good. That was good.
Yeah. So we've had our first question. It's not really a question, but Dr. Mike Metley wants everybody to know that Arturia have got 50% off on a lot of stuff at the moment. Soundbanks, individual instruments, that kind of stuff. Not the V collection. I don't think it's on the entire V collection. But if you want to plug the gaps in your instrument or effects collection.
Oh, that's all right, because otherwise there was faces to be punched.
Indeed.
After
I
what
think
bastard
aren't
cost me.
go on.
Steinberg doing some sort of offer with...
Don't mention their name. Do not mention their name.
Why is
They're
that?
doing they're doing something with Antelope Audio. aren't they?
Steinberg can
Antelope,
bite my
yeah.
shiny metal ass.
Right, okay.
I'm not going to go into it because I'll go and do a Jim Glue. I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to say that Steinberg has still got my money and I still don't have my license. Yes, and it's
Come
at
on,
the moment
Steinbergy.
this is Steinberg. That's what I'm getting from Steinberg.
Yeah, but at least it was retrospectively
Why
recorded.
yada? Sorry.
Well, yeah,
At least it
At
was
least what, sorry?
retrospectively. At least it was retrospectively recorded.
Sure. Yeah. Anyway,
Oh, trombone.
that was a. There we go.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Are we going to have a grouchy? Are we going to have a grouchy show?
well,
What should we open with if we're having a grouchy show?
No, the sun's starting to come out again now. Cheer. Let's be cheery.
the sun will come out. No,
Let's
I
be
mustn't sing.
sickly sugary.
Oh no, we're grumpy old men. We must maintain.
Synthesizers. Oh,
Yeah.
bless them.
Yeah, no, I'm not Happy Bunny, but it's okay. It's fine. As long as I get my money back or I get my license, one of those two will be fine.
Well,
Yes.
one of them's considerably more expensive than the other.
Indeed. By the way, whoever was updating the cricket scores in the chat, please do carry on. Although I think play has stopped now. What? Let me just
No,
double
it's done
check.
now.
Yeah, what are we?
I think they're about 67 ahead.
Aussie was Australia 113 for 4 at close of play. England lead by 162, and they've got 6 wickets remaining on the second over. The second innings, not the second over. But yes, well done, England. Anyway,
Can I
that's
just
cricket.
point out
We're not
that
here for
it's-
cricket.
England are playing tomorrow.
England ladies
Ladies football
in
team.
the World
Yeah,
Cup.
I'm
Which
looking forward to that.
Yeah.
enormously.
Oh, did you know what? Do you know what the irony is?
Yeah,
Is that
isn't that where you have
when-
iron?
yeah.
And you.
and you do a lot of
Just do it a little bit.
yeah.
It's a bit
Yeah.
iron.
That when the ladies play on the pitch, they're the ones that don't act like big girls.
It's very true.
Yeah,
Isn't it
they
weird?
are. They're
true.
extraordinarily talented. And I actually find the women's game, the international game, a lot more entertaining, I think,
Yeah,
than the men's
it's-
game quite
I think
often.
it's-
I like all
God, yeah.
football.
Do you?
I like all football. Yeah.
You like balls. You
Go to
don't
my
care.
first game of the season next week, so for my birthday, so that'll be nice. Anyway, let's talk about synthesizers, shall we?
Oh, I
God,
remember them. Yeah.
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 Go on then.
Well, let's start off with something a little light-hearted, shall we? Nothing too serious to wet the palate. No. Well, do you
No?
know? No, because they said that from July 17th they were going to be announcing 4 or shipping 4 vaporware synths, and they said that with quotation fingers. And at the moment, all they've put out is a different coloured TD3MO, which is whatever, and 2 sets of cheap headphones, which look like Bayer Dynamics or something. I can't remember which now. But anyway, we're not going to talk about them because they've got nothing to talk about. And it's nice that we don't have to do that because it pains me sometimes. What I will talk about is this. This caught my eye, and it was rather amusing for a couple of reasons. So first of all, it's a DX7. Oh, go figure. So, of course, this came up in my regular eBay search because I have an automatic search for anything to do with Yamahas and DXs and so on and so forth. And I saw this Phil Collins Yamaha DX7 synthesizer, no less. Now, look, a lot of people piled on this in the Facebook group this week, and it all got a bit silly, really.
It did.
It got rather silly, and I was a little disappointed. But hey-ho. But this individual, I'm not going to sort of broadcast names, but you can see it there on the screen. This individual put this synthesizer up for sale with a starting bid of £950, which is basically twice what you ought to pay. Or you could buy it now for 1,330, which is just bonkers. But it did have this assertion that it was Phil Collins' Yamaha DX7. Now, the best thing about it was the reason why this belonged to Phil Collins and how this person came about this synth. Apparently, it was a gift. Yes, it was a gift from Phil to the last owner. No names mentioned. Phil used to play and hang out at the pub that he owned. It's not inconceivable that might have been the case, but there's no documentation. There was no evidence. In fact, the only picture they provided, they did actually provide some. Yeah, they provided pictures of a DX7, assuming that's the one, not signed by, no letter of provenance or anything like that. But their main picture was a Getty's image. Jesus. So, of course, all the jokes started coming out. So, for example, Lady Aptitude, who is rather on the ball today, I must say. Not that one. Oh, that was Ben. I can feel it coming in the post next week. But, tish. It came from his Susu Studio. Yeah, there are some really good ones. Yeah, some really good stuff in there. So, apparently this was. But some people, namely Andrew Ward was a guy, one of our friends on the group, who does actually own like half of Tony Banks's old synthesizers because he went and bought them from the studio. Yeah. He did some digging, and very soon this sale was ended because the item is no longer available. So I think somebody... either had made a mistake, wittingly or otherwise, and it's gone. But what I wanted to, because there's another thing, another example of this. I just wondered how much people would be prepared to pay for an instrument that's fairly widely available at fairly reasonable prices, just because it's had allegedly a famous owner, how much more would you pay, or would you pay less because it's been owned by a certain person, you know? And I was just curious as to what people would, if it was proven to be, somebody famous, maybe it's using a famous record or something, how much more would you pay above the market price?
Well,
Interesting.
can I address something slightly different with this?
Oh, blooming heck. Stay on script.
Well, all right, I will.
Go on then.
However,
No, go on.
however,
Go on.
the chat that followed this here, £4.56. The chat, there were some fairly uncomplimentary things said about Mr. Collins, about Phil.
That was, yeah. I mean,
And
have a
you
go
know,
at the
it was
DX7.
it's a DX7, you know, and you either pay for it or you don't. And if it's got some provenance, then you might want to pay more or less depending on whether or not you're a fan. I have a feeling someone that was a Phil Collins fan and not necessarily a synthesist might pay a bit more if it could be shown to be that. Although you'd have thought it would have been drums or something like that would, or maybe the Prophet 5 that was used on, you know, on his album.
Face value.
Face value. But people were very unkind, or some people were very unkind. Phil Collins is a fine musician and writer. You may or may not like him. You may or may not like his music for whatever reason, but it is sort of undeniable that he is a very accomplished composer, musician, singer, whatever, whether or not you like his style or not. So let's just get that out of the way. You know, stop doing people down. We have quite enough of that. As for whether or not it's worth the money, it is if you like it. I know we're coming on to something in a while. I won't give it away, where you know that can start getting. You know, if you were able to find Vangelis's CS80 that he used on Blade Runner and absolutely be able to attribute it, I imagine the sky's the limit on something like that.
This one.
That one. That's £4.57 then.
Yeah.
It's just gone up.
So
I
that,
don't
you
know.
know,
It isn't this one, by the way.
there are some. I mean, you know, the DX7. You know,
For
just
insurance
as a keyboard-
purposes, it's not that.
Yeah.
Yeah, however much it goes for normally, I'm not sure it's worth a premium necessarily. For, you know, even if it's Phil Collins, just because he's not noted as being the instrument he's most deeply associated
Exactly.
with. It's a bit like someone picking up a bit like Stevie Wonder picking up a. No, not Stevie Wonder. Let's think of a Stevie Winwood picking up a tambourine and saying, "Here you go." You know, I picked this up once. £8,000. Yeah, don't be ridiculous.
Yes. It's
It's like having Noel Gordon's Bowie knife. You know, one man's cheese
paid
is
good
another
money
man's
for
rotted
that.
milk.
Well,
right?
indeed. Yeah,
Good
exactly.
money for that.
It's. I think if you got something that was owned by somebody that you was used on a record or whatever, and you actually quite like the record, it should be a sort of like additional bonus to the purchase, not necessarily drive the cost of the actual unit too much.
Yeah.
Maybe you could, you know, if you're advertising it and you can prove that it, you know, this is the white-faced Odyssey that Jonah Louis used on parties or whatever, and you go, oh, okay, well, I'm really into that. Okay, I'll give you, put 50 quid on top of that. Yeah, cool.
Or anything owned
But
by Prince, where it goes.
But the thing is, there are a number of instances, like off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I have heard stories where certain artists have just like they've got an instrument that they're probably known for using on a song, and they've just said, yeah, that's the one I use, and then signed it and sold it for a chunk of cash. And it isn't really, it's just an autographed synthesizer, but because it's one that they're famously associated with, people will pay very good money for it. Like you say, if it's something that if it was Hendrix's guitar from Woodstock, and and you could prove that it was his guitar from Woodstock, and you've got the film footage of him waking everybody up that morning playing just that guitar, then yes, first it's Hendrix's, second it's the one that was at Woodstock. You know, it's one of the most famous performances of all time.
I've got his piccolo
Oh right,
from Woodstock.
Woodstock.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what the bloke said.
okay. See, but you never saw
What?
him play it, so it means nothing. You know. Sorry.
Not only am I being replaced by some Ben bloke, but my piccolo's.
It's worth
Thinking
nothing.
about it, I should have kept that dog turd in the garden that Amy Winehouse walked in. That would have been useful.
There you
Yeah.
go. That did happen.
And that did happen.
That did happen. But no, I just wondered, you know, how much people would put. I mean, I certainly, I was looking around here the other night and thinking, I don't think I've got anything here that belonged to anyone of any significance whatsoever. I've had a few Fairlights in. One or two have had provable provenance of ownership, and I actually went out and bought the records that were used or that were created with that thing. It was a Series 3 Fairlight. Didn't make a jot of difference to the purchaser or us as sellers. We just sold it for what a Fairlight was worth at the time, which was still, you know, a fair chunk of cash, but it had made no difference that it belonged to Ian Stanley. So
Yeah, it was like I've got. I'm trying to remember his bloody name. Is it Tony Mansfield's VP330?
oh right,
As used on Life of Luxury and such. And that would probably mean something to about 8 people on the entire planet.
yeah. But somebody somewhere, I
But
guess
it was
would
my
pay for it.
it was one of my favourite albums of new music. End of. Loved everything they did, every single picking note, and I paid extra for that VP.
Yeah.
But because of that, however,
Indeed. However, there are some things.
this.
Okay, there are some things that do command absolutely ridiculous prices because of who owned them and what they were used on. And this is currently up for auction at Sotheby's. This is an Emu SP1200. Not that you'd be able to tell because all the markings have all been pretty much rubbed off. But this belonged to RZA from Wu-Tang Clan and many, many other things besides. This was his original SP1200 that he was using in early 90s on the Wu-Tang's debut album, Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers and beyond. And he said, you know, there's actual DNA in this thing. And I looking at the state of it, I'm sure that, you know, under a black light, this would not look pretty. But
Pollock.
it does, yeah. So I mean, it's just looking at this thing. Let's put this on the big screen. There we go. So he signed it, okay, and there's a video of him signing it and talking about it. It's got complete provenance. It is in a heck of a state. I can't remember if it said it was working or not. I didn't check that one out. But there it is in all its glory. And at the moment, the current bid is $38,000 US. The estimate is 50 to 80. There have been 2 bids and the reserve still hasn't been met. So I have no idea. However, this is, in terms of hip-hop history, this is a big instrument. This is a big thing. If you're into this stuff, that's the SP1200 that was used on some of the most influential hip-hop albums of the 90s. And it's a great machine. And it's owned by, or was owned by RZA. And I don't know what he's going to do with the money. I don't think he needs the money, but hey, I'm assuming it is him that's selling it, or Sotheby's is selling it on his behalf. The condition report is empty. That's it. There's no condition report. I don't think you need one, really. But even if it doesn't work, if you are a massive hip-hop fan and you've got tens of thousands of dollars to spare, yeah. The other question is, would you have it fixed up? Even if you cosmetically left it, would you have all those wonky faders? Because I mean, let's look at those wonky faders. You know, that's pretty grim. Yeah, 38,000 at the moment. Anybody fancy doing the next bid?
I offered 37, but only
Oh.
because it needs a lick of paint, didn't it? And someone
Does it?
scribbled on it. I mean, look at all those wonky
But
bits, you know.
how many Dave Rossum SP1200s? Because he did that reissue, didn't he? Recently, I don't know if there's still any available. How many could you buy for $50,000? How many S2400s from Brad over at Isla Electronics could you buy, which does all of this and so much more as well? Yeah. Jeez.
But it is part of history. It really is part of history, and it's become such a phenomenon. You know, music changed so significantly as a result of hip hop, and
as a result of RZA as well.
as a result of RZA. And this is part. You know, this has got to be up there. There's going to be people. Well, we can see people have already bid up to 38,000. So yeah, this is a significant piece of history. This should probably end up in a museum somewhere or something. I mean, you know, do you want to use it? If you want to use it, you probably have to fix it. I love the fact that it's switched on.
Well, it won't work because the fuse holder's missing.
Well, exactly. Yeah, the fuse holder's gone.
I mean, it looks, and it's set
Well,
at
do you know,
150.
there are scientists, as we speak, there are scientists at Cornell working hard into the night, every night, designing a machine that is possible of, or rather capable of being able to measure precisely the amount of fuck I don't give about that.
Oh, dear.
Say it how it is, Ken.
Yeah.
Don't.
Honestly,
hold back, mate.
did hip hop? Well, it certainly didn't influence me anywhere.
No, but it has influenced. It's created. Hip hop was the expression of a generation and a culture that spread across the world. It's you know, it's not. It may not be your thing. I think the colour of the hair maybe gives it away, but it was
Yeah.
deeply influential, and that is the start of it.
And-
And it's not just the music. It's everything. It's the clothing, the social stuff. It's everything. It's everything. You know, language has changed, rhythm has changed because of it. And that's a significant something. Doesn't matter, you know. A bit like we were talking. I was talking about Phil Collins earlier. You don't have to like him to understand how important and what a clever person he is. Same with this. This is important. This is
RZA
important.
is, you know, he's up there with, you know, some of the greatest and he doesn't just do hip hop as well. I mean, he was responsible for the soundtracks to films like it's gone, Kill Bill.
Kill Bill.
He did the Kill Bill soundtrack, amongst other things. You know, Wu-Tang and RZA are, you know, they're elevated to godlike status in that world, and so, you know, this is hugely important. And I hope that whoever gets it doesn't touch it, leaves it as it is, puts it for, you know, it's somewhere that other people can go and look at it and say, yeah, that was the machine. Because
I got a funny feeling it will disappear off the face of the earth.
yes,
and nobody
it
will
will.
ever see
It will.
again.
It'll end up in somebody's, you know, in a drawer somewhere. And
'cause
he'll
here's
get
a
to
funny-
show
Yeah,
his
because
mates.
what should happen if it's that influential, if it carries that much history weight behind it, the proper thing to do with that is donate it to a museum.
And
Here's the thing.
thankfully, there are people that do that. They buy these things, they spend enormous amounts of money, and then loan them to museums for other people to see.
A pal of mine, I'll name him Andy Floss. Andy Voss, we call him Floss, lives in Stroud, brought up around here. He and a pal of his, Noel, have been doing music for years now. Andy took a bit of a hiatus for several years to look after his son, who has some issues, but has just started back up again. And this is, you know, that's hip hop fed into everything that he's been doing. He started a band, AST, and I was in a band with him as well. And he's just there's been a recent a new BBC Sounds thing, which he and Noel, under the term AST, have done the soundtrack for. And the BBC Sounds thing is about Banksy. It's the Banksy series. He's
Oh,
done
yeah,
the
yeah,
soundtrack
yeah.
for it. And it's stunning. It's stunning. He's doing things. I hear what he does and how he's been influenced by hip hop. And it's stunning to hear. His music's amazing. And I couldn't do it. So, you know, that's the kind of influence. Someone in Stroud is doing stuff for BBC Sounds, and maybe he's going to go on, you know, he's done other film stuff. It's affected everyone. It's affected everyone, you know, or rather every society. So, yeah, and it should go in a museum. I think you're right.
I know he'll probably turn around and say there's absolutely no way he can afford it, but I'd love Brad from Either Instruments to buy this, because he absolutely adores those machines, hence why he built the S2400. And you know that it would be going to someone who would just absolutely, you know, love to own, you know, the archetypal SP1200. But anyway, Brad, if you're watching, there you go and buy it. But if you want to buy it, it's at Sotheby's, and the link is in the chat room. Ben's just posted it up. Thank you very much indeed. Just search Wu-Tang Sotheby's SP1200. It'll come up, I am sure. And if you do win it, do let us know, and let us come around and have a look. And if it works, let's have a play. But yeah, there you go. Right, so there you go. Synthesizers owned by famous people. If you have any other examples, do share them with us. You know, we like to have a giggle. So yeah, do that. That would be fantastic.
Can we get Pete Townsend to give his 2,500 to Dina?
Well, yeah, we keep trying. Oh, talking of which, if you are a friend of mine on Facebook,
You've got friends?
I've got friends, apparently. If you are a friend of mine on Facebook, I've been doing a birthday fundraiser thing because it's my birthday next Saturday. So I did one of these things just to maybe raise a few quid. And my chosen charity this year is the Alan R. Perlman Foundation. So everything that you donate, and thank you to the likes of Kent and others who have already donated nice sums of money.
I meant to, and I will.
Yeah, if you are my friend on Facebook and you fancy just giving a few quid to Dina, forget the fact it's my birthday. I don't really care. It's just a number now. But do give Dina a few quid and help the Arts for All project, which helps get her father's instruments into the hands of as many people as possible. Right. Okay, let's see.
Maybe we need to talk to Nelly.
The elephant.
Yeah. Basically, what we say is donate your 2,500 to Dina, or Nelly will rearrange your testicles again.
Or the Penguin of Death.
Send the Penguin of Death.
Send the Penguin of Death. Ben's not got a Penguin of Death.
No, but I've heard his snake is rather vicious.
Oh, right. Well, you know, fair enough. Good. I'm looking forward to seeing him back.
Yeah. Right, let's talk about something that I think is equally silly. Andrew Brooks.
Silly.
Sorry, Andrew Brooks has just donated 20. So now I've got to do a transfer.
Oh,
Andrew.
trust you, Andrew.
Bloody paperwork, and I'll get charged fees and everything. But yes, I will take
Need another
20,
tenner to cover that.
I'll take 20 out of the account. I'll move it over. Yeah, so we'll do that. So
Right.
okay.
I'll match you, Andrew.
Don't let me
But
forget.
I'll do it direct.
Do it properly.
I'll do it direct.
There we go. Right. Talking of silly things, I'm sure I'm going to get shot down in flames with this because I think this is silly, and everyone else I've met and talked to about this, they've said, "Oh my word, this is brilliant! This is fantastic." Let's play a little bit of the trailer first.
Oh my god.
Like this. What?
Introducing Corda, the instrument designed for everyday life. Corda is built on Artifon's patented multi-instrument technology. One instrument with hundreds of sounds and so many intuitive ways to play them. Corda can be held like a guitar or a bass, or flat like a keyboard or drum machine. It features 12 capacitive pads that are touch and velocity sensitive, that pick up even the most subtle movements. Corda also has a bridge that adapts to how you're playing, so you can instantly strum any sound. tilt, slide, and arpeggiate, Corda transforms even the simplest gestures into amazing musical creations. Corda has 4 parts: drum, bass, chord, and lead. With drums, you can tap and hold to create automatic patterns. Add vibrato to a bass performance with the simplest movement. With chords, you can play an entire orchestra with the touch of a finger, and complete your creation with a melody in lead mode. Everything you need to record your song is built right into the device. No other studio gear required. Use the onboard speaker.
I'm going to stop it there because it goes on for a bit, but you get the idea. It's a stick, right? It's a stick with buttons on, and those buttons are kind of multi-touch sensitive, and they trigger sounds that are built into the machine, supposedly, and also you can do over MIDI as well. First thing I thought about when I saw this was it's basically GarageBand or GarageBand for our American friends on an iPad, but in a stick without a screen, because you can do all of that kind of swipey stuff and get chords and articulations and things. And I'm not convinced by this. To me, it's more of a toy than it is a practical musical instrument with practical musical applications. That's my tuppence halfpenny. Over to you. What do you think? I can see Andrew's chomping at the bit. Go on.
No, I'm just chuckling.
Go on.
When we were at the we did the episode for the NAMM show. We saw a lot of different instruments that were playable on screens and all sorts of touch, and we were deeply intrigued by a lot of these instruments that did things differently, right? And then we've also talked about the Osmos and the Roly and different ways of playing things. That's what this is. Forget the fact it's that it doesn't matter about the sounds almost initially, because I believe you can connect.
Sounds
via
at least
MIDI.
my concerns.
But as a controller, you've got you can do an awful lot of the stuff you can do with Osmos. Not all of it. Osmos and Roly. An awful lot of the articulation is built into this thing, and it's £200. I mean, what's not to love about that? Get 2 of them. Why? I'm actually quite intrigued. I'm going to probably buy one, just because it's a different way of articulating. Even if you just use it to articulate or switch between layers.
Before you do, Ian Cole has some advice for you.
Yes,
and that is he tried to back this, but they only ship to the USA and Canada.
That is a small fly in the ointment.
So unless you've got friends over there, I mean, Dr. Mike Metley seems to be a rather good fan. Why don't you buy it and have it shipped to him, and he can send it to you?
Could do that, or I could have it sent to a pal of mine in Canada.
There you go.
But either which way, yeah, Dr. Mike, I might give you a hit up on that, because, I just think, for £200, we've been talking about who will bring out the first MPE, or rather, just a master keyboard that has poly aftertouch, MPE enabling and all that kind of thing. So this is £200. What's why are we minging about this when we've been banging on about all of this stuff for so long, and we've liked so many other instruments. We've liked some really cheap, shitty instruments.
Don't drag me into this. This Wii business. All
right. Well, I have. So it would be a bit disingenuous, and I think honestly, if they could make that a 24 note or 36, it'd be even better. But I kind of like it, and I like the fact you can strum and do all it's a good thing. I want to play with it. I want to see what I can do with it. I think it could be excellent for a live set, but that's just me.
I can see Kent's brimming with enthusiasm for it.
Bag of shite.
Well, I think if you're already a Rolio owner or whatever, then you're not going to be particularly, interested, I don't think. I like the bit in the video where he goes, or a whole orchestra, like that, right? Go, yeah, and then what? Where, is it just sample playback chords and stuff like that? Go, come on, You could probably make really, really good music with it if you're beating your kids with it. Or, you know, but I don't know. It's one of those things, though, isn't it? Where you go, yeah, I can see the appeal of it, absolutely. If you have nothing else in your arsenal,
In my what?
or in your arse at
Oh,
all, that does anything like that, then yeah, it might be something worthwhile having a crack at and play about. But you know, for us Rolly owners, you know, it's beneath us. I'm afraid. Sorry.
I just don't see the longevity in this thing. The
Well,
novelty
it depends
is
on
there.
how it's backed up with sound packs and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and how many sounds can you get in, and will there be a lot of sounds available for it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because the articulation is there, certainly. I mean, the little bit where she's playing the solo violin was sort of like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, I can see it.
And I believe it outputs MIDI.
Yeah.
So if it outputs MIDI, you can use it just to add the articulation to something else you're playing. You can just use the articulation. So I mean, for £200, I think it's an interesting thing. I will probably chew my own arm off if I get
Well,
one and
it'd
go,
be about
shit,
£400
what did I do that
by
for?"
the time you actually get it to the front door,
Well, yeah.
with the
you know.
shipping,
the
import,
duties,
and Christ knows what else.
Yeah. And, look, I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. I think what doesn't help it is if you look at the marketing for it. Okay, you just
It
go
does
to the
MPE,
website.
Dr. Mike
It's
Metley.
all this. You know, who sits on a tennis court playing a musical instrument, let alone one of these? Who is going to sit in their little yoga mat and no. No,
To be honest with you,
I'm gonna
this
take
guy
them
will
both
not
up.
be doing this in real life.
You can buy a Rolly block for $299 now.
Yeah.
And it does all that, and it has access to a
What the
billion
hell's that?
sounds.
By the way, I know it's a dog, all right, but
Okay.
seriously, no. Now, kids, I get. This is a great way to get kids into music, but
Yeah.
what you need to do is follow it up with proper instruments, so that they don't think that you can just go like that and you get the perfect chord every bloomin' time. You're right, Ian. I don't like it. Thank you. I could spend £200 on something a little better, I think, or a little more useful. But
Yeah, of course, the other thing...
like
that's,
Noel Gordon's Bowie knife.
You know, the other thing that bothers me is it has 12 pads.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, if it's set up as that, it'll be C to B.
Yeah.
So it's not even... You can't even get, like, the span of an octave on it. That's pretty limiting.
Can they be? You can use it to play your Colossus. Can
Yeah.
they be? Can those pads be assigned? I don't know. Can they be assigned so you can have a different? Think of it like a trigger pad, 12 different trigger pads rather than an octave, just with whatever you want on them. You could, I think you
Sounds
could
like a
turn
lot
out
of hard
something
work
useful
to
with
me.
it.
Sounds like a lot
Yeah.
of hard work. We've got enough to do with having to program what
But-
keys we're going to use.
I mean,
Yeah, all this technology. Who needs this technology? We should all go back to pianos. You're right. Yeah.
but I mean,
You were
clearly
with the piano.
there's an audience for it. I don't know
Absolutely.
how many of this audience are,
Delusional?
musicians
Oh.
or delusional or smoking some very strong stuff, or maybe have licked RZA's SP1200.
They got some of that
This
stuff
is
Korg used.
these are all Korg employees that have bought it, and someone else has just bought. Look at that. See,
Yeah.
there's another one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this
Well,
is...
yeah, at
it's
least
one
we've
of these
probably
products,
some
isn't
stuff.
it, where it's absolutely brilliant and absolutely stupid simultaneously,
Yeah.
depending on where you're standing.
I would just like to see something that encourages. I mean, clearly, I get this thing. If you're going to pitch it at young people to get them into actually making music and getting that whole buzz
Yeah.
of making music, and you want to take those serious obstacles out of the way just to get the bug going. But I also want them to understand that to play a musical instrument takes skill and dedication and practice, and you won't get that with this. You need something for this to lead into. So,
Apparently, Dr. Mike Meckley is saying that it's like any of the other Artifon stuff. It will come with a companion app that will let you do a ton of setup options for MIDI, MPE, etc. That's got to be the cheapest.
You'll see some trendy fart at Glastonbury one year with one of these, and it'll all be, oh my, look what he's playing, it's amazing. And then they'll sell bucket loads of them
And
because
people in the audience throwing bottles of piss at him.
because that apparently is a trend nowadays.
Yeah, well, there you go. Look, 299, and you get 2 octaves, and it's magnetic as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
Yeah.
it's horses for courses.
It is.
I'm sure there's people who are going to absolutely love it to death, and people who will sort of like be impressed with the sounds it makes while they're jumping up and down on it.
Nice one from Steve. G'day, Steve. By the way, Steve, thank you again. You
Thank
are
you
super
very
generous.
much.
I know that $50 Australian is about £3.27, but it's fine. It could be
Buy
a
an apple.
cent. It could be a penny. It would be fine. Thank you very much indeed.
Absolutely.
The strangely named Adolf Twitler instruments you would not get caught dead with on stage. Go.
Yeah.
Our own lovely friend Matt Evans. What do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back? A Corda.
Ooh. Come on. Hang on.
I think I'm much easier all week. Stay for
Try
the
the
fish. Yeah. I just noticed. Sorry to just go back again. Kissing the Machine asked Robbie, as a drummer, do you rate PC, meaning Phil Collins, I presume, and not personal computers? Yes, he is my absolute drum god. Love Phil Collins. So yeah, just I didn't want to ignore
He's a
that one.
brilliant drummer.
One of the very best of
Brand
of
X.
his. Yeah.
He's he's
Oh,
a very good
Brand X.
songwriter. He's a very good singer. He's
But
a
we've
shit
done Phil
actor.
Collins. We've done Phil. Okay, I just wanted to just answer that. But
Just
yeah.
a crap actor. That's all.
Yeah. So listen, if you want, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't
No,
awful.
no.
Awful. No. Okay.
No, Buster was like an hour and a half of somebody pulling your bloody toenails out.
But was it Phil's fault or was it just a bad script?
It was Phil's fault.
Okay. Anyway, if you, unlike me, are really excited about Corda, then you can go and find them at Kickstarter. I think the link has already been posted in the chat room, but it's just go to Kickstarter and look for Artifon, Artiphon. That's the Corda. It costs early bird. Is that still available? It looks like it is $199 US, which is about 165 Great British pounds, and then it will go up to $219. And then you can also get it with their previous thing, the Orba 2, for about $319 US. Give one, get one. I went to a party like that. $359 US. A Corda and a Corda duet. 2 Cordas at 25% discount. So yeah, there are a number of different options that you can have right there. But thank you very much indeed, and thank you to Mike Metley, who is glad that he's not online with us all right now, because this would be a fine old rhubarb. I know you're a fan, Mike. I know this is right up your street. Not for me, but hey, I if all of a sudden we're all playing Cordas, I will eat humble pie. I will eat my hat. I will
Not
eat
gonna
anything.
With rhubarb in it?
With rhubarb, and I really don't like rhubarb.
I adore rhubarb. There we
Do
go.
you?
No.
Yeah.
Dad
The only-
always
the only
used to get me
rhubarb
go
I
out and
like-
pee on it. He did.
How
He
would
demanded
we
it.
notice? Because rhubarb tastes foul, especially when it's
Yeah.
in a crumble. Ugh, stringy and everything. No.
You're supposed to, yeah, I know.
Rhubarb and custard, sweeties.
Oh, the
thank you.
sweets, yeah, lovely.
No problem. No
yeah, all
problem
day
with those.
long. All day long.
Or the cartoon. So there you go. But yeah, as Lady Aptitude says, right up your arsenal.
There we go.
Ba-boom.
Indeed. Right. Well, there you go. That's the Corda. If you like it, go and buy it. If you don't,
Yeah.
don't. Simple as that. There we go. What should we talk about next? Oh, I want to pop this one. We won't hang around on this, but everybody, if you don't already know by now, knows that I'm a massive fan of Benj, or Ben Edwards, as his mother and father christened him at birth. I assume it might be an assumed name. I don't know. Anyway, he's back with his meme tune program, Series 2. Yes, Series 2. We call them series here in the UK, not seasons. the Memesode one is out now. It's 45 minutes long. It's utterly brilliant. It's joyful. It's funny. It's witty, and it's most of all, it's absolute chock full of synthesizers and synthesizer related stuff, and some video related stuff as well. All done in Ben's very tongue-in-cheek way. It's just fantastic. If you're not aware of the Meme Tune program, be so. Fix that this weekend and go and watch Series 1, and then you can start watching Series 2. And he did get me slightly moist about the gusset, because the first feature in Episode 1 is on a Yamaha TG77, and it sounds amazing. It's really, really good. But yes, it's just brilliant stuff. And so, Benj, if you are watching, thank you for doing this. They are really, really good. Really, really good. So fill your boots with that. Thank you for posting the link in the chat, Andrew Brooks. Right. Oh, my screen's gone again. Funny. Sorry. There we go. And we're back. Right. We've got one big thing I want to talk about. We've got an hour left. So before we get on to that one big thing, let's talk about this. The Boss GM800 guitar synthesizer. Yes, we're going to talk about something that has to do with guitars. Now, when we used to have Chris on the show, we used to get a bit of guitars thrown in here and there. Not so much now, but here we go. I did this basically request of Eddie, who we were chatting to last night on Kent's thing, and he said, "Oh, you're going to talk about this?" And I was like, "No, it's guitars." But we were lacking in a bit of news stories, so there was no dead donkey to drop, so we had to fill some gaps. And there we go. The GM800 from Boss is out now. It's got a Zencore synthesizer in the heart of it. The box itself costs £800. Then you have to buy a pickup. So there's a 6-string guitar, regular guitar pickup that can be used on electric or acoustics. And then there is a bass guitar pickup that covers 4, 5, and 6-string basses, apparently. There's also a converter box. So if you have one of the old pickups, you can convert it into this new thing. Again, that's at a price. The pickups and the pickup converters are £200 to £300, depending on what you get. So you're looking at least £1,000 investment to get you going with one of these, whether you've got a pickup from a previous one or not. However, it does sound rather good. I'll play some demos maybe in just a moment, but while we're here, let me just bring up the web page and show you what the specification of this thing is. As I said, it's Zencore compatible, which means that there will be connectivity between it and the Roland Cloud as you load up different instruments from it. It has over 1,200 tones and 70 rhythm sounds already in there. Apparently gives you a fully natural playing feel with solid tracking stability, which, by this time, we should have got that down, or certainly Roland and Boss should have got that down already. Lots of, different sounds available, of course, from all ranges of types of instruments, and I guess there'll be loads more to come through the Roland Cloud, which will generate more. There you go, Roland Cloud expansion. So you can just add in new sounds or new banks of sounds and so on and so forth. It's a sturdy unit in that lovely Roland blue, and is available now. $799 UK is the price for the box, and then say the pickups and converters are £200 upwards. Do you want to hear what it sounds like actually in? Let's do this. Let's present. Let's share a video. Let's find that video, which is this one here. This is Alex Hutchins with his guitar and his GM800 doing some stuff. Let's press play. Here we go. Skip forward a little bit. There we go. I'll find some. Somebody's got, there we go, with this amazing bass guitar. Anyway, that's that. Let's remove that from the screen. Look, it's impressive stuff. It really is. And I was saying to Andrew before we came on air, there's just something about seeing a guitarist playing. And I guess it's just my expectation of what I'm going to hear, because I don't expect to hear those kinds of sounds, and so therefore there's a kind of a disconnect between seeing somebody play a guitar and I'm expecting to hear guitar sounds, and then I hear like a soft, mellow, monophonic synthesizer lead, and it just
looks like they're miming it.
It does. It just
because of it, because your brain won't go, what?
I've seen. Who was it I saw? It might have been Stephen Wilson, but they were blending the guitar with the synthesizer, and that really did work. Not just the synth on its own, but they blended it, and it really worked in my head. And I think bass players, this will be amazing. I could just see like Thundercat, with one of these, if he hasn't already got one like this, who is an amazing bass guitarist and just get some incredible sounds. This will be amazing. But look, it's a powerful piece of kit. It's not cheap. It gives guitarists a whole smorgasbord of wonderful sounds. Thoughts, gentlemen, please?
Well, it's how would you put it? It's inclusiveness. We've been playing guitars on keyboards for like 30 years. Some of the guitars were not very good, but they are getting very, very nice now. And it's nice to see that the guitarists can play keyboards.
Yeah. But
so,
go ahead.
Well, it's just that they've got it better because you learn to play guitar and you're very accomplished on your guitar, and now you have access to really, really decent sounds. It's Roland. Yeah. You got all these beautiful sounds that you have access to, and you don't have to change your playing technique one iota. And you've got all the expression, the slides, and everything else that you can do. Whereas Muggins here has to learn how to use, this bloody sex toy thing to try and get the same effect, but coming from this. So I've had to change the technique. Well, obviously, it's the Osmos now, but so no, it's cool. If I play guitar, bloody hell, I'll be breaking their arm off, snatching it off them.
Because as I was saying before, and you said it as well. Keyboard players, synthesizer players have had it all their own way. Yeah. Especially when it comes to playing guitar type sounds. There are many synthesizers. Andrew was playing on his Roland, and it sounded very nice, and if you get the articulation right, it sounds great. But you don't need that anymore because you've got contact libraries or UVI Falcon libraries that are scripted that will give you the right inversions. They will play the notes in the correct way. All you've got to do as a keyboard player is just hold down the chord, and it'll do pretty much anything for you.
It's also nice to see that they've got like a nice straightforward cable on it now. Because I mean, when I used to repair the GR, I still repair them, but I haven't repaired any for a few years now. But you get the GRs in, and you know you're getting all the voice cards bounced up and stuff like that, and you've got to test it. And I'm shit on the guitar, but this plug the size of the boot of a Ford Escort that you have to plug into it, and you're trying to get these sounds out of it. And if you're not very good on the guitar, the synth itself is very, very unforgiving. And but this looks brilliant. I mean, we're talking MPE now on this thing. It's like, what?
Yeah, and it uses TRS, so there's no fancy stuff anymore. It's just like plug a TRS cable in and boom.
So it has the capability of, I suppose, of you being able to plug this pickup thing into any synth and speak to the 80, the Hydra, whatever.
Yeah, one would imagine there must be some sort of
Well, there was some sort of converter box as well, wasn't there? That was going on that as well.
Yeah, they're to convert the old pickups to this new.
Oh, okay.
So you can plug was it 13 pin?
Yeah. Well,
So
there
you
must
can
be
take
some
that
sort of
13
MIDI
pin
on the back of that unit there.
Yeah,
so
that you can then spit out.
Or USB, whatever, to be able to speak to other MPE machines and other normal MIDI machines. So that's brilliant.
Yeah. No, this excites me way more than the Corda does. Andrew.
Yeah, and I don't even play guitar, and I think it's like this is really, really good.
Yeah.
This is a product where you go, I can't think of anything wrong with this. This is cool.
Exactly. Andrew, your thoughts?
Well, I've got some history with this, going back to the 80s when Roland first brought out their guitar synths, and I had my first studio in Curtain Road in London, boundary of the City of London, Heartbeat Studios. And one day, a guy called Greg Coffey Brown got in touch with me and said, "Look, I've got this guy I'm working with. Can I bring him down? We do some stuff." And I said, "Yeah, great, fine." And he rang me beforehand and said, "Look, just so you know, the guy I'm bringing down is Peter Green." And and he wasn't terribly well at the time. And he brought him down, and because it was Peter Green, I just went out and grabbed a guitar synth. I can't remember if we hired it in or borrowed it or begged it or stole it or whatever, but we got one. And I remember him sitting down it. He was fascinated with it, but he was a little confused by it because there was a lag between pluck and play and whatever. But once he could hear the guitar as well, then he was up and flying with it, and he liked it a lot. And we did a couple of tunes. I think it was an odd time for him, and all that stuff. So I've been used to using, I got used to it, and I quickly worked out how to program it. And it was always more successful if you had something that either reacted like a guitar, or that swelled up underneath it because of the lag. So you ding, and it's become better and better. This one looks like it's really good. This one looks like pretty much all the lag has disappeared. They're using some very clever technology to make the playability, articulation and triggering of it just super, super fast. So that's great. That's all good. But like Robbie, I think, and Kent, the issue is, I wonder how big an audience it's going to have. It's a good thing. There will be some people, I think you're right, bass guitarists will find it really easy, to supplement what they're doing, a bit like they do with Octaviders, adding that additional low. Being able to add a bass synth underneath whilst you're playing bass, or even for a guitarist to do that, it's a good thing. But when I hear people playing that demo, kind of, it made me cringe a little bit because guitarists play in a particular way, and you can kind of hear it's a guitar-based way of playing things. It doesn't sound like a piano or or a string thing, it sounds like a guitarist playing it, which I always find kind of what. But there will be people that will like it. However, the thing that's really interesting, as Kent alluded to, is the fact that they're using their Zen Core technology. So they've built this technology that goes through their entire product line now. So if you've got they've built out this entire system of synthesis that allows you to use anything which is Zen Core supported to play anything they have, near as damn it. And that means by developing one technology, Zen Core, they've been able to grow it into a range of different other instruments and different product ranges, which has kept them relevant and made them sort of less prone to being badgered than some of the other manufacturers like Korg, who are just repackaging the same thing over and over again. And something else we're going to come up with in a while, the next subject probably. So I think what Roland have done, which is really clever, is they've put a lot of R&D into developing an engine which can be repurposed in lots of different ways, lots and lots of different ways, not just for keyboards, not just for boutique synths, but for guitars, effects pedals, all sorts of stuff. The Zen Core works for all of those. That's really smart. That's really, really smart. And I think that's the way all of this is going, and I think it's the way it needs to go.
Yeah, as you say, Zen Core is now at the heart of pretty much everything that Roland do, from, keyboard synthesizers to software synthesizers to groove boxes to guitar pedals now, and keytars and applications on iOS, and of course the Aerophone Pro as well. It really is. You can see now that the long-term vision is being slowly realized, and world domination will, I'm sure, ensue. Yes, but it is this kind of core technology that seems it is a lot of people really like it. So there you go. But yeah, GM800 is available now. It's around £800 for the box, and then you need to choose your pickup, which is another couple of hundred, or a converter for your old pickups. If you have one of those, pretty much everyone, I think, will have an option here. And so the pickup just sits somewhere between your existing pickups and the bridge. I think the closer to the bridge, the better.
And do you know what? I have to say, I'm not a guitarist, but I'm tempted to buy one for the studio, just because I can slap it into someone's existing guitar. I can do a whole bunch of programming on it, have it ready, and I can start doing things that haven't previously been possible, because it's actually reacting in such a clever way, in such a good way. So I think it's, having said I can't quite see where it's going to go, I kind of can actually. I think it's, it's expensive, but it's not if you look at keyboards that offer the same kind of facilities, synthesis
and guitarists are, I know a few. I don't like to publicly admit it, but I do know a few, and they're not averse to spending £800 on a pedal. They just aren't. If it's going to give them something that's going to make them stand out from the next guitarist, in the pub across the street, they'll pay for it. So I would love to see what people do with this. It's not for me, but it's...
Do you know, I would love to see. You've heard of John Gom? One of the he's an acoustic player that does thumping, He does a lot of touch playing. He's done some amazing stuff. He's a really clever man, very talented musician, plays acoustic guitar, and I'd love to hear what he would do with this. I'd love to. Just for kicks, would I drop that under?
I'd love to see some people take this and just use it in some really weird ways, because I'm sure that would.
Wonder if it would work with a violin.
That's a good point.
Because
there are electric violins, aren't there?
Yeah. Doesn't need to be electric. You just
well,
actually, I suppose it's about the string, isn't it? It's whether or not. There's not that many steel string violins.
Don't know how those sensors work. Anyway, Boss, I was about to say Roland, but it is kind of the same thing. The Boss GM800 guitar synthesizer is available now, and it looks fapping awesome. And if you get one, let us know and point us in the direction of what you're doing with it, because we'd love to see it. Right, there is but one story left for us to cover, and I thought I'd give this the rest of the show. So we've got about 40 minutes to discuss this, and we kind of warmed ourselves up last night
For
at
about
Kent's place.
3-4 hours.
Yeah, talking about this, but we don't have that amount of time because I will be calling time fairly promptly. So this is the news that appeared on Tuesday morning from Hamamatsu, and this is that pad. The Montage, the Yamaha Montage, is going bye-bye. It's sayonara Montage. Farewell, thank you, and one more thing they said. And this was basically all they said. Today, we are discontinuing the Montage music synthesizer. Since its launch in 2016, Montage has provided musicians with blah, 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 blah. As a thank you, we're giving you a final set of content free of charge for all Montage owners. What they failed to mention there, this will also work in the Modi X Plus unconverted, so you can just dump these straight in. So if you're a Modi X Plus owner, these will work. If you're a regular previous Modi X owner, there's a bit of conversion that needs to go on, but they're free, and it's 3 pianos. There's the Nashville Grand, which is the C3 Grand. There's a U1 upright and then a felt U1 upright piano. So they're giving that away as a kind of a parting gift. We appreciate the music you made, as well as the passion you show for Yamaha synthesizers. And one more thing, the next generation Montage synthesizer is coming in October. Stay tuned right here at YamahaSynth.com for more information. So the story is Montage is going away, and the reason is, as it says in the thing, as much as we would have liked, we cannot develop the current Montage any further, and that's all they've elaborated. So we don't know whether it's chip costs, chip shortages, whether it's just, as it stands, they cannot do anything more with it, regardless of the cost or availability of components. But it's going away. But it's going to be replaced in October by the next generation Montage, and so therefore one has to assume that it's still going to be called the Montage, but maybe it's going to be called Montage Plus. That's my money's on Montage Plus, or maybe Montage X. I don't know, but it's going to be something, and it's going to be new and improved, I guess, over this. Now, the reason this is important, I guess, is because the Montage, and to a slightly lesser degree the Modi X and the Modi X Plus, have been some of the most well-used, popular, all-in-one keyboards out there. And it's the latest in a long line of such instruments from Yamaha, and it's up there with the Korg Kronos and the Nautilus and the Roland Phantoms and the FAs. That all the big three do these sorts of synthesizers. Of course, with the Motif, Yamaha started down this track of dropping the whole workstation style or type of tools, because they saw what was happening, that people weren't using keyboard workstations because it was much easier to buy a laptop and do it all on there. They just wanted a big box that's very well built, that has a great keyboard, that has a gazillion sounds in it, and something for everyone in there, that's instantly available and sounds amazing. And Yamaha didn't bring a huge amount to the table in terms of the engines, because the Montage and the Modi X Plus have 2 sound engines. One is AWM2, which is their long-running PCM sample-based libraries, which are very, very good. And then the other engine, of course, is the FMX engine, which is an 8-operator FM engine that's based off the engine that was found in the FS1R and does amazing things beyond that as well. And they put those 2 things together and you get a whole, a really good set of sounds. Unlike their competition, which have other synthesis engines in there. So this is, I guess, an opportunity for Yamaha to revisit that and catch up, shall we say. Because one of the things that's often levelled at the Montage is that it's missing a very good tone wheel organ. Because apparently people like tone wheel organs. So Montage is taking a break and coming back in October, which is not that far away, let's be honest. So we don't have to wait long to see what it does come up with. But for the next 40 minutes, I thought it would be interesting to discuss the legacy of the Montage, which is been around for 7 years and is hugely successful and hugely popular, and what we might see in the new one, because of course we know that Yamaha trademarked the ANX brand, which we assume, because we've not had anything else to tell us otherwise, is going to be the analog modelling equivalent of the FMX engine. So we'll have FM engine, we'll have an analog modelling engine, we will undoubtedly have AWM2, or maybe they'll come out with AWM3, who knows. Maybe they'll have some other synthesis method in there. Maybe they'll revert and bring back in the sequencer functionality. I don't know. So let's just open this up, and of course anybody that's got an opinion in the chat, please do let us know. Put a big Q in front of it, even if it's not a question, if it's just a statement, it just helps us pick it out. Excuse me. So yeah, guys, what do you think? Have at it. I've said my bit.
Kent.
Yeah, go on.
So this is a really big opportunity for Yamaha. They have, I think, I'm not sure it's anything to do with chip shortages, why they're stopping this. I think it's more probably to do with the fact that processing DSP has advanced so much, they can rejig everything they've already got and put it into the current hardware. Won't allow them to expand much further than it has. I mean, they could, but it's, it gets costly. I think they're looking at probably creating, like Roland with the Zen 2, they're looking at creating their own DSP central, as it were, their DSP foundation, upon which they can model or code everything they've already got. They own so much technology and so many different forms of synthesis, and they also own so many. They've done so many different significant things. Let's talk about the CS80, because that would be, wouldn't we all love to have a proper CS80, right? Wouldn't that be good? But how much is that going to be? So imagine, if you will, if you look at what Roland have done, if Yamaha do that, build a central platform which they can then skew. Once they've got a processor, they can then put anything into that. They could model a CS80 and put, on a large, the largest, the premium model, they could build something which has aftertouch, poly aftertouch, MPE. They could do that, and they could also do the pianos and the sampling and the FM and any other synth they wanted, and physical modelling as well. This is an opportunity for them to do something, I think, quite significant, and probably, as well as, I would think they would look almost certainly to do a premium top-end model that costs gazillions, that has everything, but you can buy lower down, I would imagine, and they'll just be able to do a bunch of product SKUs from this. They can just do individual instruments, an FM thing that's using this technology, but you'll be able to port in other stuff. I think, I really hope that this will lead to a resurgence, because Yamaha have kind of lagged behind a little bit, as to a certain extent so have Korg. And Roland have led the way. This is an opportunity from a development point of view for them to build a whole new hardware platform that allows them to do software-based stuff that takes them forward for the next 10 years. I think it's an extraordinary opportunity. Well, who knows what they'll do? But it's an opportunity.
We can only guess. Yeah, we can only guess at the moment. I mean, I speculated when I wrote this up for Gear News. I put down a little wish list, and I thought, well, I think we can pretty much take it as a given that ANX, if that does exist, is going to be in the new Montage. I don't think they'll get rid of FMX, because I think that is a hugely powerful and very much loved part of the system, and of course the AWM stuff is exquisite anyway. So I think that we're going to see the addition of at least the ANX engine. Now, my thought process then went on. I thought, well, your Yamaha, okay, and the most requested Yamaha synth to be reproduced in the modern era is the CS80. That's without question. It's going to have that. So your name is Yamaha. You're bringing out a synthesizer, a flagship synthesizer with an analog modeling engine that we know can do CS voices because they did that with the Reface CS. So they're just going to hopefully expand that. So you're going to have a CS80 model on your flagship synthesizer. You've got to have polyphonic aftertouch with that. Otherwise, it's not a proper CS80 model. You won't be able to do all the wonderful things that polyphonic aftertouch gives you with the CS80. So I'm predicting, and I'm going to put this out there, I'm predicting that whatever replaces the current Montage will have an analog modeling engine, and it will have polyphonic aftertouch. It will still have the FM and the AWM. Whether they're new and improved, I don't know. What I would love to see, but I probably think they won't do, because it would set them apart from everyone else. And I think I've seen some people in the chat saying this as well, that if they put in the bits of the FS1R that they didn't with FMX, and that is the formant shaping, because that really... Even Dr. John Chowning said that formant shaping with FM was the next logical progression for that synthesis type. And they did it with the FS1R, and they made it awful to program and delve into. So maybe this is an opportunity to bring that in. Maybe we'll see some physical modelling in there. Maybe there'll be a VLX as well, or a VPX. I think I'm getting a bit silly, but what it will have, I'm sure, is a fantastic keyboard. It'll be built like a tank. It will cost at least £5,500, because I was looking earlier on, the RRP for a Montage 8, whether it's in the black or the white, is about 5,300. I'm sure that you'd probably get it for a little less from your dealer. Well, actually, you can't buy a Montage now at the moment, because of course you've not been able to buy a Montage for the last few months, if not longer, probably a year or two, which again is standard form. They kill these things off early, and then they sell everything out of stock, and then they bring in the new boy. So that's what I would like to see. And it makes me wonder, because Modi X Plus came out last year, and they brought the sound engine on that to Montage specifications. So if you want a Montage sound engine, the Modi X Plus gives you that. I think it's got the same, pretty much the same everything. It's certainly basic sound. What it lacks is, it doesn't have all the controls. It doesn't have the excellent audio outputs that the Montage has. Although apparently, here's a trick: if you have a Modi X Plus, don't use the analog audio outputs. Use the USB audio output, because that is identical to the Montage. Again, another crossover there. So, Modi X Plus does have a lot of benefits going for it. But I wonder what's inside the Modi X Plus, and if they can't build the new Montage, or if they can't build the current Montage because of maybe chip shortages or chip costs, what's inside the Modi X Plus?
Or hardware limitations. So coming back to that, Yamaha have a history, right? The CS80, when it came out, that huge polyphonic, a polyphonic aftertouch keyboard in and of itself was, the CS80 without that is a pretty awful synth. Without all the performance, well, it's not awful, but it's not, it's not great. You can use the presets on it, which everyone acknowledges are not that brilliant. They're just not. They're not great presets on the CS80. But once you put polyphonic aftertouch and bash a load of reverb on it or whatever else, it comes to life. It's a performance piece. Now that was even then, it was expensive. I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to do that, they would have to build something that receives, that uses polyphonic aftertouch. If you're putting that into the code base by creating a new hardware thing, then you can put all of that in. You can make every single part of that engine or whatever else it's going to play have MPE, be MPE compatible rather, and then you can bleed down from that, like with the CS80, the CS60, the 40. And then the small little monophonic things, all of those bled down. It was an aspirational thing, the CSs, and the same with the DX. The DX1 was the aspirational instrument because it had poly aftertouch, and that's why I bought the DX5. I couldn't afford the DX1, and the DX7s did that. So doing these product SKUs makes perfect sense, and if you're going to build it now and do something which allows you to do that. You don't have to make it a $5,500. You could actually put out a 10 grand instrument or a 12 grand instrument that has everything. That is essentially a CS80 with all the controls and everything else. It'd be a very expensive thing. But guess what? You have the same engine in something that's costing $1,000 or $2,000, and then all you need is your controller, which could be a Roly, it could be the Osmos, it could be the Hydrasynth, and you get that same kind of control from one of these new Yamahas.
Yeah.
I think they'd be stupid not to do that. And
I think the age of the marquee synth has gone, though, don't you? That big, flagship behemoth that only us mere mortals can aspire to. I think that's gone.
But having one, just having a few people, there will be a very few people that would pay a premium price to have the top Yamaha synth that is like the modern CS80 plus all this other stuff. A few people would, and everyone else will buy all the other stuff cheaper further down the feeding chain, as it were, and they won't all have polyphonic aftertouch or any or MPE or any of that stuff, but they'll have access to it if they've got a controller that gets them into it. So that to me makes the most sense, and then you can just plug in whatever you want, and hopefully, you'll realise the CS80 without polyphonic aftertouch is a dreadful thing. So
that's the thing. That's why I assume that if you're going to have an analog modelling engine, that we know that the AN engine in its various iterations over the years has been very good, and certainly in its most recent incarnation in the Reface did a very, very good impression of a single voice.
CS80 voice, yeah.
Yeah. So there's absolutely, if you're going to put that in, if you're Yamaha, if you don't do the CS80, you will get a massive amount of flack for it. So if you do the CS80 and you don't do polyphonic aftertouch, you'll get flack. So I'm just thinking, but then companies like Yamaha, Korg, Roland, their synths are not always designed by passionate synthesizer designers. There's obviously accountants and other things going on in there as well. So you know that things will probably not turn out quite how we would like them to. And of course, what's really frustrating for me right now is that our dear friend, Dr. Manny Fernandez, is in the chat, and I know he knows. And he knows that we know he knows.
I know that you know he knows.
And I know that he is such a trustworthy and impeccable man of the highest integrity that I will not be able to get anything out of him. Not even when we've got him on stage in Sheffield later this year, which I'm hoping will maybe be around the time that they launch this thing, because they're saying October. Synthfest is the first week in October. Maybe Synthfest UK will see a UK debut, maybe not, I don't know. Anyway, let's go to Mr. CS80 himself. And what do you think?
To be honest with you, I think we'll. I'm going to have to pour cold urine on this. Yamaha as a company, they don't care about polyphonic aftertouch. The whole never look back scenario that they've had for the last 50 years, I think that mantra will probably still stand. They will. I think the new Montage will come out. Hopefully, the first thing they do is change the name.
Mondeo.
Anything.
I don't think they will, though, because they said the next generation Montage. So to me, that says it's going to be called Montage.
If the name would be as secret as what's inside the box, so it could come out as a new.
But they could have just said our next synthesizer,
our next iteration. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, a lot of companies, Yamaha particularly, over the years have had a tendency to be able to pull the rug out from under people right at the last minute.
Yeah.
They've managed to survive 45 years without producing anything with polyphonic aftertouch, and there's no reason for them to start now, even with, you'd think, when you think of the fever pitch that was going on behind the Hydra with her poly aftertouch. What went on with the Osmos, and for a limited period only, the Rollies. And yes, they've seen that happen, but they go, well, they're out there now. Us adding it isn't going to really do anything special. As a company, as you say, with all the accountants and everything else, box shifting is order of the day. I think that the era of building the flagship synth to put yourself on the map, well, they already did that.
Yeah.
Because as far as
a few times.
Well, yeah, but as far as the general, shall we say, pop music side of things, where trying to make it breakthrough and impression there, they did with this, they did with the DX7. They don't need to do it again. If anything, if I remember rightly, Yamaha pianos, grand pianos, were not exactly people's first choice back in the day, but synthesizers like the 80 and the DX7 has kind of helped the brand stand out on all the other stuff they were doing that they'd been doing for like nearly 100 years before that, but nobody was really looking. Yeah.
So here's the thing. You're right. Bean counters and accountants and shifting boxes, all of that's absolutely right. Except that if they are doing a once in a generation new platform, which allows them to essentially have one piece of hardware or one hardware heart to everything they do, into which they can put whatever software they like, then on the basis that Poly may or may not be the nirvana that everyone wants, and MPE may or may not be what everyone desires to have, if you are building the platform, you would it's not a huge amount more money to make it MPE compliant and to at least provide for it to be able to receive polyphonic aftertouch. Once you accept that, if you're building a new platform to put all of these synthesis engines into, then why wouldn't you also, within those synth engines, at least put the hooks in, if not actually put in some MPE compatibility or at least poly aftertouch compatibility? And if you're doing that, then why wouldn't you do one premium hardware synth? Just because that's what Yamaha have generally speaking done.
Well, the environment for the new Montage is going to be primarily, let's face it, stage stroke live performance scenarios where you don't want to be dragging another machine that is capable of putting the poly aftertouch into the keyboard that you've already got set up.
But if you've got a, let's just say you've got a, one of the options might be that you get this thing which has lots of controls on. It's going to be a fraction of the weight of the 80 or the the DX1. And if you have all that control and can do, I don't know. We're guessing here, right? But as a developer, and as someone, as a company, having worked for companies that have been down these paths, you tend to look for a platform that allows you to build lots of hooks in to give you to make it more open to doing a whole bunch of things. And if you're already doing that, it really doesn't cost that much more to at least build the hooks in. Once you accept that, and you say, well, yeah, all right, it will certainly receive polyphonic aftertouch, because why wouldn't you? We're known for that. Why wouldn't you? We'll make it available on everything. All you need is a polyphonic controller, polyphonic aftertouch controller, or an MPE controller, or whatever it is.
They would probably get flagged for that, I would imagine, to be honest. When you put polyphonic aftertouch capability into a synth that you're unable to do polyphonic aftertouch without having to bring something else in to make that happen, is it's just a pain in the bum. But you see, in an ideal world, yes, it'll have polyphonic aftertouch with polyphonic aftertouch keyboard. It'll be self-contained. It'll be a bit of a flagship, and do all, everything that we would want,
The thing is,
and I'll be in the queue waiting to buy one. Absolutely.
You can build SKUs of products that don't require, that don't have polyphonic aftertouch and don't even have, programs aren't polyphonic aftertouch. But if they're built such that if you connect something to it, you can open that up as well. It's a small part, that it's kind of, that's not hard to do and to include. So I'm not sure they get that much flack for it if they just build cheap, smaller boxes that do just, AN or FM, kind of what they're doing already.
Well,
and they, guess what? They own the IP for an awful lot of these technologies already. They've just not got a common hardware platform.
Well,
Once
maybe I
they've got
should have
that-
had my vitamin C this morning or something, but we're not. To me, it doesn't seem like we're in a society that aspire very much. So, if you have the flagship and you have the cut downs, and you go, well, we'll start with the cut downs and I will work my way up. It's almost like, no, everything has to be immediate now, and I want it to cost next to nothing. The whole market is becoming just a sea of Karens wanting everything now for next to nothing, please. And that's understandable because that's the way things have been. The immediacy of the internet and everything else has generated that.
Thing is, for live work, lots and lots of people are still using workstations, despite the fact that you can do it. We know so many people that are using
Oh yeah,
laptops.
absolutely. But ideally, one workstation. They only want to take the one case with them. They don't want to have to take another keyboard to be able to access the facilities that are hidden underneath the bonnet. So if it doesn't do the polyphonic aftertouch, then they're not going to. And a lot of keyboard players are, note on, note off is enough.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And there's nuance in performance is something that doesn't really will come across very much. And I'm with you. I'm with you on this, Andy. But to be fair, I mean, if I just agreed as well, which I technically in the back of my mind I do, it would be a very boring hour. So I'm trying to find counterpoint to everything, but with a certain degree of plausibility to it.
Yeah.
So
If you see,
I'm a romantic. Okay, I have this vision of somebody in Yamaha, at least one person, if not a team of people in Yamaha that have sat there these last few years and have seen the Hydra synth, and they've seen Osmos, and they see all of the references that people make, and we do a lot of it here when we talk about those keyboards, and we're always referring back to the CS80. We're always referring back to this amazing analog synthesizer that had all of this wonderful expressive capability in when was it? When did it come out? 79?
76.
Oh, 76.
Yeah.
Okay. So 76. It had it then. And then, 5-6 years later, they did the DX1. Same sort of thing, but with a different sound engine. But this beautiful, expressive, powerful synthesizer. And now you've got the new kids on the block who are coming out with polyphonic aftertouch on this. And they're all referencing, or maybe not the companies, but everyone that's using them saying, oh, now I know why the CS80 could do all these things, and let's dig up, let's create patches that sound like everyone's talking about the CS80. And if I've got this vision, hopefully, of somebody in Yamaha sitting there going, oh God, this is painful. We should be doing this. We are the ones that did this right on more than just one occasion. We're the people that gave the world the CS80 and other things as well. And these damn kids are coming onto the scene, and they're stealing, or not stealing our thunder, but they're kind of trading off of our legacy, and we can't compete with that. And I want that to be happening, or to have happened, because we know if it's coming out in October, this thing is a done deal. It's in production, I'm sure.
Yeah, whichever way.
But I just want somebody or some people there to be thinking that and feeling that, and going, right, okay, we're taking this back, and we're going to do it better, or we're going to do it differently, but it's going to be all of that and so much more. And that's the romantic in me that wishes.
Well, if there was one ray of hope for this, as far as Yamaha are concerned, now is the time to do this.
Yes.
Because finally, after me bitching on for about 40 years now about why don't keyboards come with polyphonic aftertouch anymore? Do you have any idea what it's capable of doing?
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
you know, and 30,000 people look at me and go, no.
yeah.
Sample
And this
rate
is the time, because
Yeah.
now we have Hydra, because we have Osmos, we've got the Q Nexus, we've got the Rollies, we've got stuff. It's really something that is actually happening. This would be the time for Yamaha to go, do you know what? Sod it, let's do it. And if they do, where do I sign?
Yeah.
Because if Yamaha bring out a Poly AT up tomorrow,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be in that queue as well.
yeah.
with analog modelling. Oh,
Well, yeah. I mean,
Well, exactly, yeah.
you know, I never realised how much of I don't want to use the word fan, but you know, for the sake of just brevity, yeah, I never realised how much of a Yamaha fan I was. I know that people are going, what? No, some years ago I didn't realise, because I was just naturally gravitating to their stuff without consciously making that decision of, you know, I'm buying that because it's Yamaha. I just bought the stuff because it did what I wanted to do and it sounded the way I wanted to sound. And after a while, I'm thinking, blimey, I've got a lot of Yamaha gear here. So I have emotional investment in the brand, and I really want them to come back and say, ha!
Yeah.
And kick everyone else into a bucket. Certainly, you know, the other big two. I'm not target market for a Montage. I'm not target market for a Modi X Plus. Really, I'm not a gigging musician. I'm not a proficient player. I can access all sorts of things from much smaller, cheaper pieces of hardware or even software. I'm not the target market. But as you said, Kent, if they announce tomorrow that this new thing, whatever it's going to be called, has got a polyphonic analog modeling engine that can do a CS80 as well as an original CS80, and it's got the polyphonic aftertouch, and it's got all of that other stuff as well, then I will find it incredibly difficult not to buy that. And I know I'll love it. But
and the other thing is,
it's a
of course,
new old gimmick, isn't it? now?
yeah.
So, and you know, some of us are decrepit and remember it coming out the first time round, and it, you know, if hopefully it is this, like, it's this new buzzword, you know, Poly AT, it's the nuts, mate, and good, go for it. The other thing is, of course, out of the big three, at various different times over the decades, like it used to be Yamaha was number one, and then Roland, then Korg replaced Roland, and there's been all this, you know, hierarchy going on, battling with each other. If they bring out this Montage, it has Poly AT, it has the analog modelling, it's got the FM engine, it does this, it does that, it does all the other stuff. It has a very, very good chance then of pushing them back up onto that top slot.
And as a
That
business,
means
they've got
anything.
to want to do that. Even as a business, you know, a lot of people in the chat are saying, "Oh, you know, they're a business. They need to just make profits, and they're always looking at the P&Ls, and they're looking at the bottom line, and all this." But to be successful, you've got to want to be that number one manufacturer, and to be that, you've got to be able to sell the things that people want. And it's clear by the volume of sales of things like the Hydra Synth that people want polyphonic aftertouch, because everyone's talking about it now. And if something comes out and it doesn't have Poly AT, people go, why hasn't it? 10 years ago nobody could give a flying what's it about Poly AT.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thing
Well,
is,
the other thing is, of course, the Phantom, the current Roland Phantom, will piss over any workstation that Yamaha bring out unless they really pull the stops out.
Yeah.
Because that Phantom, listening to Richard Hilton play that Phantom to me over the internet on numerous occasions, because he loves playing it to me all the time, is a incredible machine.
Yeah.
and
And
it's driven by a new technology, a
Platform,
central technology
Yeah.
which goes across their range.
Yeah.
That Yamaha would be mad to ignore the opportunity to have a central technology that allows them to do the same kind of thing. And here's the thing, they're not just synth makers and piano makers. They make everything in the musical sphere, everything. So can you imagine going forward, if you've got a single hardware platform that allows you, that's essentially cheap, we start making these things, multiples of these things, you can put that into any of those instruments, anything. You could add all sorts of stuff. You could make effects boxes. It just suddenly becomes, you can do a horn section from a real horn, and have the plug-in thing with a mic or whatever, and suddenly you've got a whole horn section played from a Yamaha horn. There are all sorts of things. I'm getting a little bit silly here with it, but Yamaha know the value of being at the top of their game, and they do have a musical heritage that is much broader than an awful lot of the manufacturers. They're not just synths; they do a whole bunch of stuff.
That also could be the thing that really pisses on the cornflakes, shall we say? I'm pulling this figure out because I'm sure that somebody said that this was true, and I don't doubt it for a second, that synthesizers make up 3% of Yamaha musical instrument sales. Overall, they sell more pianos, violins, guitars, drums, amplifiers, mixers, PAs, all of that stuff. 3% is synthesizers. As a company as a whole, are you going to throw the kitchen sink at the Montage when it really is just a small portion of your business?
You're right.
How big is this kitchen sink they're throwing at it in comparison to the rest of the company?
And the amplifiers... amplifiers, put the same chipset in there and have it do all the effects and all sorts of other stuff. Have that in every single thing they do. Their mixers, put the same chipset in, because it's the chipset itself, the hardware they would have to develop. It doesn't. There's no reason why they can't expand that over their entire range. So it's not just constrained to synths, because it's a DSP. Once you invent a DSP that does that, or rather once you have a DSP, which I'm sure is what they're thinking, then you can repurpose it in all sorts of ways.
We are talking about a company that does manufacture their own ICs as well.
Because I was going to say, do they still have a significant production line of their own chips? I don't know whether that got reduced over the years, but I mean, that was why, they could knock out and sell over 200,000 DX7s, because they were making everything themselves. It was all done. All the chips, all the other sides were done in Hamamatsu, or somewhere, but it was a Yamaha own thing.
They might have had a look at ASM's tax return and gone, oh, do you know what?
Yeah.
We could do some of this.
For me, it's more about the technology and the opportunity to develop a whole new platform.
I don't care what pushes Yamaha to do it. I don't care. Even if somebody's holding a financial gun to their head to make them do it, I don't care. Just as long as they do it.
Yeah.
And then
because
happy bunny.
The Montage itself, as it stands today, is still an incredibly good. I mean, I dismissed it out of hand some years ago, thinking it was just another workstation. Because and then I had a chat with our friend Ty, and he said it's not. It's not just it's not even a workstation. It's a proper synthesizer that can do amazing things. And I started looking into it. I think, blimey, actually, this is a really powerful thing. And then you look at forget the synthesis engines. Think about the motion sequencing that's in there. The super knob. I wish they'd come up with a better name, but the super knob is a knob, and it's rather super. The things that you can do with that, the things you can assign to the super knob.
Stiffy controller.
Indeed.
That's a much
but
better name
it's
for
cool.
it.
It's a really useful tool, and the things that people like Manny Fernandez do with it are very, very cool. So it's not just a synthesizer; it's got some amazing, innovative technology that others don't already have. So they need to keep that and expand upon it, but they also need, I think, to address this kind of elephant in the room, which is that looks like they've got an analog engine ready for it, so you're going to have to do something CS80 like. And I believe that if Yamaha are going to release a synth and say, hey, it's got every single one of the CS80 sounds in there, and you can build your own CS80 sounds just like you could on the original CS80, and you don't put poly aftertouch on there, they are going to get a kicking on the internet.
And if they do put poly aftertouch, guess what else they'll have in there? Not just the CS80, but the DX1.
Exactly.
Yeah, but a
I would
DX1
love
that will
to come-
sound like a DX1, won't it?
Yeah, and I
Because of the-
wonder.
because of
I
the
wonder.
PAT.
I'd love to revisit this show, this segment of this show, in October or whenever later on this year, and just see how much of this has or has not come to light. Because it doesn't make any sense from a developer point of view. It makes perfect commercial sense to build a single platform, economies of scale.
Yeah. And maybe
then it's
that
just
single
about
platform,
what's connected to it.
and maybe that single platform will yield plugins.
Yeah,
Because I would in a heartbeat I'd buy the Yamaha plugins so that I can take these things on my laptop, and wherever I am in the world I can play Yamaha synths that are made by Yamaha.
yeah. A Yamaha synth going through a Rev
There's,
One.
there's also something very satisfying about plugging a synth into Cubase, and Cubase goes, "Oh,
Hello.
you have a Yamaha Montage. Oh, do you want to
Yeah.
use all the play and control buttons on it? Oh, okay, right, and right, yeah, I know where your sounds are. Cool.
Yeah, well, say don't mention the Steinberg though.
Yeah, okay.
Just yet, anyway. But no,
I'll
absolutely.
plug it into a door made by Antelope Audio. How about that?
But no, it makes sense. I mean, crikey, if you own a company like Steinberg, why not? Build the the interconnectivity even more than it is now.
There's a lot of chat as well in the chat room, in the chat, saying, what's the point of ANX and CS80 if you don't have the physical controls?
Exactly.
That's why I think having at least one premium one that's horribly expensive, not everyone can afford, but at least you've got it out there. You've drawn the line in the sand and say, there you go, deal with that, and then you've got all the other controllers to be able to control it. I can see that as being a model. That's I mean, who knows, but that makes sense to me. And then having, if you do a premium thing, why not? Kent, we were talking about this the other night, and you said to build the CS80 now, to do all the knobs and buttons and the ribbon and everything else, you're talking 10, 12, maybe more grand. So do it once. Do like 10 or 20 or 50 of those. You'll sell them. Not a CS80 thing, but just something with lots of knobs and buttons.
Yeah, but that's if I built it. Whereas Yamaha can put that together for what, 2.5?
No, it's going to be the cost to them possibly.
Yeah, cost to them.
Cost
That's
to
what I
them,
mean.
about a fifth. 5 times for the bomb.
Yeah.
5 times, for the bill of materials.
Yeah.
Whatever it costs you, charge 5 times that as your retail.
It's going to be interesting. It really is, and I'm excited.
8 weeks to go.
Yeah, I'm excited. Oh, don't it makes.
Yeah.
I'm excited, but I'm also a little bit petrified because it could all just be bollocks. And I'd be happy if they just be happy if it was much the same as the current montage, but they put in that extra, formant shaping, something that nobody else has got, and that only they seem to have done well in hardware. Because half the blood. Sorry, yeah.
Hernias.
Well, that's another thing. I mean, I know that the montage is a fairly hefty beast, but it's not massively so. And the Modi X, honestly, I carry the Modi X plus 70 the 7 thing. I put it. They give you a backpack with it. It sits on your back. You don't even know it's there. It's amazing. So I don't think they'll be building something that's a lot more easy to transport from gig to gig, and it will just have amazing stuff in it. But quite what we don't know. There you go. But that's taken us to the top of the hour. In fact, it's taken us just beyond the top of the hour. And we could talk about this for a lot longer. Kissing the Machine, thank you very much indeed for your donation. Great show as always. Thanks. Spend on beer or pass on to the Art Foundation. Thank you very much indeed. We'll see. Watch this space. This space. And we'll see what comes down the line. And we'll be either disappointed, ecstatic, or probably indifferent.
Or heartbroken.
Yeah. So anyway. Right, okay. Well, that's it. Thank you all. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining, as always. Hopefully next week we'll have Ben back, and maybe we'll have a Fours Up show. And we'll, like we used to do. Thank you, Manny. I think I should be paying you some money to maybe spill some beans. He sat there going,
No, there's
yeah,
no beans
no,
being
yeah.
spilt anywhere
No,
over there,
no,
mate.
no, absolutely
Not even the bean juice.
Not even the juice, no. All the steam that comes off them. Thanks, guys.
Thane
Great show as always
MLH.
from Thane MLH. Yep, thank you very much indeed for your donation. Thanks to everyone that's donated throughout the show. Your donations are gratefully received. Did I miss anyone? I don't think so. No, just get it right. We will be back same time, same place next week. Although, let me think. 28th. I was just trying to think. Yeah, I should be here. It's August, the one that I think that I might be not here for one show in August, but next week I will be here.
There's at least one unprofessional show coming up then.
Indeed. We'll all be back next Friday. Hopefully with a Ben. That'd be nice. So do come back and make sure that he does, keep to his word. Thank you very much indeed for the young Chris Blythe over there in California. Thank you very much.
Very Scottish.
If you very Scottish,
Very Scottish.
really Scottish.
Hey.
If you want to carry on your Synthesizer YouTube viewing over the weekend, then Ramsey's show is on tomorrow at 2 p.m. UK time. I think Jamie's got a show this Sunday. I think he was going to put something together for this week. Throughport Collective are on a break at the moment, and so therefore the next proper professional type synth show will be Nick on Wednesdays. But go and support your favourite Synthesizer YouTube channel, whoever they may be. And thank you for supporting us. Thank you for watching us this week. Blather on. Yeah. If you have any comments about anything that's been discussed here tonight, stick them in the comments below. If you're watching on Catch Up, please do that. Thanks to everyone that's watched. Thanks to everyone that's donated. We love you all, and we will see you back here same time, same place next week. If you're at Latitude Festival tomorrow, look out for me. I will be there, courtesy of the wonderful Grace Griffin, who I will be hooking up with tomorrow. Thanks for getting us in there. Really appreciate that. And we'll see you soon. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the weather if it's good, and even if it's not so good, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.